Hello, this is about using the 80/20 principle to manage your business, your time, and your life. And I just want to give you some few insights into how you could use the 80/20 rule in your business and in your life. So, some of you may have heard of the 80/20 principle, some of you may have heard of it called Pareto's Law, but basically it was gets discovered by a guy named Vilfredo Pareto in the 1800s, who was kind of an Occupy Wall Street guy. He was concerned that the wealth was so concentrated in the hands of so few. And he went around and looked at different countries and at different time periods in history and ended up finding out that this was pretty much the way things always were, that 20% of the people in the world had 80% of the wealth. And he kind of extrapolated and he looked around at other natural phenomena, even looking in his garden at the peas. And he found, the peas from his pea pods, 80% of them were coming from only 20% of the plants. So it's kind of a natural phenomenon. It's really based on what's called feedback. And I don't have the time to go into explain that today, but understand that positive feedback reinforces certain things as well as negative feedback. You see that a lot in the stock market, but the thing to understand is that 20% of your efforts, 20% of a lot of phenomena generate 80% of the result. So how do you apply that to your time? Well, if you think about it, your time is also kind of an 80/20, and that is that you spend a lot of time in your day maybe working on tasks that are valued at $10 an hour and less of your time on tasks that are valued at 500 or 1,000 or even more dollars per hour. And the key to success is doing more of the things that are high value and less of the things that are low value. Now, it's not to say that low value things are unimportant. You want to have the toilets cleaned in your office, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you as the owner of the business need to be working on the low value tasks. It means that you can often delegate those or outsource low value tasks. And so you want to be thinking about your time and how is it that some tasks are high value and some low value. So kind of break up the 80/20 curve into 5 levels. There's the personal level, a skill level, manager level, executive, and investor level. And as you do your day, oftentimes maybe you slide up and down through this curve, and I'll explain in detail how that works. So how to figure out where you are or should be on this 80/20 curve. So the first level, level 1, is really about mastering yourself. And mastering yourself goes across the whole set of the other 5 levels. So, this whole mastering yourself business, it's actually become a huge business. The Tony Robbins of the world have created all these life coaches and whatnot who are all about mastering yourself. Religion is often a way to master yourself. And so there's lots of techniques and tools out there for mastering yourself, but you have to understand that mastering yourself is extends in every area of life. And it's really necessary for you to grow, but it's not sufficient for you to increase your income level. You have to have other levels of thinking. So typically what happens to a person when they get into business for themselves is they master a certain skill. And that skill, they become very good at it, and then they actually start doing it and actually charging people for that work. And it could be the skill of accounting, the skill of law, or engineering, or it could be any skill, the skill of running a CNC machine or something like that, or being a great gymnast or basketball player. It's all kinds of skills. And doing the work, you get paid for doing that work. And sometimes you can make a pretty good amount of money depending on what skill. If your skill is being a brain surgeon, you get paid a lot of money. If you're an NBA basketball player, obviously you can make millions of dollars. But the problem with this level of work is that when you stop doing the work, you stop getting paid. If you tear your ACL and you're a basketball player, you don't make millions of dollars anymore. The next level of skill really is all about arranging the work, where you start to hire other people so that, or not just hiring people, but when you start to put your work together, arrange it in a way that it can be it can be repeated in an easy to understand method, so that if it's always the same. So in the area of arranging the work, you think about the way a hamburger is made in a McDonald's restaurant, for example. There's a process for that, and a manager arranges that process. And when you become a manager and you have other people under you, you are in the leading the work level of 80-20 thinking. So at some point you become a bigger business, and you have what's actually not just a small personal selling thing, like being a personal trainer, for example, or an accountant, a head of a CPA firm, but you become the executive. And when you become an executive, you have to make a transition in the way you think. So you have to think about improving the business versus just improving the product or service you sell. So if you think about being the executive of an accounting firm, you have to focus on what metrics do I need to improve this year in order for my business year to be a success. The same thing no matter what kind of business you lead. If you're going to lead a larger business, if you're going to scale your business, learning to focus on the business metrics is much more important than focusing on the product, because as an executive, you're going to be harnessing your team, and you're going to be telling your team, this is the metric, the business metric we need to aspire to this year to be successful, and your job is to go out there and improve the product, the service, and the processes to make sure we hit that metric, because that is the job of this team, and you're harnessing the efforts of the team. Eventually, when you get to a level 5 80-20 scale, it's all about harnessing the forces, things that are happening around the world, trends, maybe social trends or economic trends or anything. You need to understand that from an investor level. So if you're in a business and it's not a star type business that's growing 10% a year in a market that's growing 10%, you might think this is not the type of business we should be investing more money in. Whereas if you're in a business niche, or you see some trends and there's high growth potential, then you want to invest. So that's the different levels of thinking. So if you're busy up to your eyeballs in work, you may be thinking, how do I do anything like that? Well, you got to figure out how to delegate so that you can move some things off your plate in order to make room for the high value tasks that you need to do. And this is a simple spreadsheet. You can make up a delegation matrix, and what you do is list basically strategy and high level skills, put a big red line, and then below that you can put up all kinds of other skills, maybe setup and coordination, common skills, customer service, maintenance, reporting things, basically lower value tasks that need to be done in your business. What happens for most people is most entrepreneurs tend to do everything on this list, and they don't offload anything because typically we feel we can do a better job than anybody we hire, and so we tend to not want to offload things, and so we end up doing these $10 or $20 an hour tasks that we should be offloading so that we can do these high level tasks. So how do you decide to do that? Well, if you look at the two things above the red line, strategy is very important for your business. That is a super high level 80-20 task that you need to work on. What is a strategy for your business? This is a $500,000, $10,000 an hour task that needs to be done. And obviously, as the leader of your business, you need to work on that. Then there's the high level skills, and a lot of times in a business, whether it's accounting or law or something like that, there may be high level skills that you do. That's part of your, the service you deliver. You're the one that delivers the accounting or the bookkeeping or the training. Now, you may want to keep some of those. You may want to offload those. For example, a high-level skill needed in your business is accounting. If you're not an accountant, you may want to outsource that. And I put a little O there for outsourcing, okay? If you have a law problem, a legal problem, you obviously, when you set up your business, the legal type of business structure you have, you want to maybe outsource that to a lawyer. And at some point, as you grow your business and scale it, you actually might want to train people to do the high-level skill that you're doing that brings in the dollar, so that you can do other skills. Sales is a high-level skill. Marketing, I consider very high-level skills. You should probably never totally outsource your marketing strategy, but you can outsource certain skills. You know, how to set up a website is a high-level skill that's required. You probably want to outsource that oftentimes and not do it all yourself. The ones below the red line, you may want to, hire people to delegate a lot of that stuff, technical stuff, like, working on WordPress or working on your computer, common skills. You may even extend this to your home life. If you take time to mow the lawn or clean the gutters or do common tasks that other people could be doing for a lower price than what your time is worth, you might want to outsource some skills like that so that you can free up more time. If you're working 70, 80 hours a week in the office and you come home and still work on some of these common problems that most homeowners have with certain tasks they have to do, maybe you ought to think about outsourcing some of those in your business. Outsourcing, setup. If you do business conferences, you have to set up the meetings yourself. Why not outsource that or delegate it to somebody else that can do it? So this is all about understanding, how and where you should start to think about delegating or outsourcing tasks that can be done so that you can spend more of your time on the 20% that's going to deliver 80% of the profits for you. If you think some high-level strategies or do some high-level skill jobs that provide lots of value, then that's much more important than if you spend your time making coffee or running to UPS or whatever low value tasks that you often do during a day. And so this is just a way to think about it. I hope it's been helpful. You may wonder, well, how do I know what is the best thing for me to do? I have access to this marketing DNA test, and what this does is really it's a way to figure out what you're really good at, what kind of skills, what kind of tasks that you should be working on, and what kind of tasks maybe you should be delegating. And it's really good. I use it for myself. I use it when I hire people. I can get you a discount on the cost of this. If you'd like that, you can contact me. But I find this to be a very, very useful way to figure out. And there's other tests as well, the DISC, and as well, personality tests. But this one I find very, very valuable for business and understanding what I'm good at and what other people are good at. So if you want to use 80/20 to grow your business, you can contact me at paul@verdadcara.com or call me at 888-344-0434, and I'd be happy to help you try to understand your business from an 80/20 perspective, and not only your business but your time. 80/20 can be used in many, many different ways, and we are very good at looking at the world from an 80/20 standpoint and helping you to grow your business that way. Thanks for listening, and feel free to get in touch with me if you have questions.